Today's lesson is 4.8, 0 in the product. The essential question, how do you know you have the correct number of decimal places in your product? We've been doing this a little bit already. So let's unlock the problem. Product may not have enough digits to place the decimal point. In these cases, you may need to write additional zeros. Students are racing typical garden snails and measuring the distance the snails travel in 1 minute. Chris's snail travels a distance of 2/10 foot. Jamie's snail travels 4/10 times as far as Chris's snails. How far does Jamie's snail travel? Well, let's use the given information and describe what we're being asked. Well, what we're being asked is, I need to find out 4/10 of 2/10 of a foot to determine the distance that Jamie's snail travels. All right, let's multiply the 4/10 times 2/10. So step one, we're going to multiply with a whole number, okay? So here we go. 2 times 4 is 8. Easy, right? So then we're going to determine the position of the place value point in the product. Since tenths are being multiplied by tenths, the product is going to show. So look, I've got tenths and tenths. So after my decimal point, I have 1, 2 place values. So that means I have 2 place values, and 2 place values after is going to be in the hundredths place. All right, so then we're going to place the decimal point. But are there enough digits in the product? Well, if the decimal is right here and I move it over one place, there's not enough. So I'm going to have to, so let me put no here in this question, okay? So write the zeros as needed to the left of the whole number of the product to place the decimal point. Well, I already said it's in the hundreds position, so that's 1, 2 places. So I'm going to need to add a 0 here before I can put my decimal, right? Because I have to go 1, 2 places because it has to be in the hundreds position. So Jamie's snail travels a distance of 0.08 foot or 8/100ths foot.
Example, multiply money. Hi, classes.
All right, sorry for that interruption. Multiplying, we're going to multiply 2/10 times 30 cents, right? So multiply as you would with whole numbers. So we're going to be basically saying 2 times 30. So let's think the factors are 30 hundredths and 2/10. What are the whole numbers that we're going to multiply? Well, the whole numbers that we're going to multiply are 30 times 2, right? 30 times 2. Let's determine the positions of the decimal points in the product. Since the hundredths are being multiplied by tenths, the product is going to show. So let's look. How many do I have after the decimal? On this one, I have 1. And on this one, I have 2 numbers after the decimal. So I have 1, 2, 3 numbers. 3 numbers after the decimal is the thousands place, right? Okay, so it's going to be the thousands place. Place the decimal point. Then we're going to write the zeros to the left of the whole number as the product is needed. So let's go ahead and do this first. 2 times 0 is 0, right? 2 times 3 is 6. And then we have, because we're doing 30 times 2, which is 60, right? So, but I have to have how many place values? I already said it's in the thousands, so it's 1, 2, 3 place values. So after a whole number, the place value is automatically right here. So I'm going to move it over 3 places. 1, 2, don't have a number there, so I'm going to have to add a 0 so that I can move it over 1 more. So I'm going to put my 0 here and my decimal right there. So I'm going to, now, when I do that though, how many place value positions show cents? Whenever I write $1, how many place values show cents? It's the 2, right? It's the 2 after. So if that's the case, here's my decimal, here's the 2 that's after. So that means I'm only going to be showing these 6 cents, right? 0, 6, 6 cents, since I'm doing money because it's in the hundredths. Because the money only shows to the hundredths position, right? Because there's always a decimal right there, and it's 2 place values after. So that means it's going to be 6 cents. All right, let's do this problem. We've got 2/10 times 5 hundredths. Well, 2 times 5 is 10, so that's easy peasy, right? That's 10. However, I have how many place values? 1 after this decimal and 1, 2 positions after this decimal. So altogether I have 1, 2, 3 places. Decimals on whole numbers always are here. If I move it over 1, 2, I need 1 more place, so I'm going to have to add a 0, and then I could put my decimal because I needed to move it over 1, 2, 3 places. So what steps did I use? Well, first, I had to determine how many decimal places would be in the product, and I determined that it was 1, 2, 3. Then I multiplied like I did with whole numbers. 5 times 2 is 10, right? Last, I placed the decimal point in the correct position. However, I had to write in an extra 0 because there were not enough places to move it to the correct position. All right, share and show. We're going to write the zeros in the product, okay? So here we go. On this one, they've already done the problem for us. 7 times 5 is 35. How many decimals do I need? Well, behind this decimal, I have 1, 2 place values. And behind this one, I have 1 place value. So altogether, I have 1, 2, 3 place values. So remember, on a whole number, the place value is always here, and I need to move it over 1, 2, 3 times. Well, I don't have a number there, so I'm going to put a 0 in that spot so that I can put my decimal in front of it. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. They've already done the problem for us. 2 times 3 is 6. How many decimal places do I need? Well, behind this decimal, there's 1, and behind this decimal, there's 1. So 1 and 1 is 2, so I have 2 place values. Here's my decimal, 1, 2. There's nothing to put there. There's nothing there, so I have to put a 0 in its spot, right? I'm just going to write it. It'll be easier. A 0 in its spot, and then my decimal can go. Because I have to have it. Remember, I have to have it over 2 place values, 1, 2. Let's look at this next one. They've already done the work for us. 4 times 2 times 2 is 4. But I need to move it over. How many decimal places? Let's see. There's 1 behind this one. 1, 2 behind this one. So altogether I have 1, 2, 3 places over. So if I'm starting here, I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3. Well, I've got to put 2 zeros here in order to be able to do that, right? Otherwise, I can't move it. Let's look and see. So here's my decimal. 1 place, 2 places, 3 places. So my decimal is going to go right there, okay? All right, let's look at the next one. 5 times 8 is 40. How many decimal places do I need? 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to take this, 1, 2, oh, I got to add a 0 so that I can go over to the third one. Add a 0 and put my decimal. The next one is 9 times 7, which is 63. So I'll put my 3 and my 6. And how many place values do I need? I need 1, 2, 3. So I have my decimal here, 1, 2, and I have to put a 0 in order to move it over 3. So I'm going to put my 0 and my decimal. Let's do the next one. 2 plus 1 is 2. Easy peasy. How many place value positions am I going to move my decimal over? 1, 2. So here's my decimal, 1. I can't move it over without adding a 0. So I'm going to put my 0, and then I can move it over the 2. All right, you are on your own. I'm on the carpet if you need me, and you can work with a partner. Good luck and have fun.